I have so many puns tonight and I'm not even trying to do it. We were apparently making the room toasty with our love. You love to tell this part.
She wouldn't stop talking.
And then he didn't respond forever. And I panicked because I'd called him a goober and I was like, maybe that was really offensive to him. We were both newly 18 years old when we got engaged. Oh, Hank. Hank is...
moving the camera and the light.
Oh my gosh, Hank, he's adjusting all of our equipment. Around 12% of people, we really don't give each other traditional gifts.
I've had to ease her into that.
Hi, welcome to the Brittney Brandon Show, or welcome back if you've been here before. Thank you for joining us. Hank is also saying thank you for joining us.
That was a really big sigh.
He's generally
Dramatic.
a loud breather. Anything that happens in the snout region with Hank is sure to be noisy.
Yeah, it's just loud and dramatic. Like
That's
Brittney.
true. Excuse me. Maybe we'll edit that out. Join us as we chat real life, from marriage to parenthood and everything in between. We're kind of funny. We've got a pretty solid track record of keeping kids alive, and we still love each other and usually like each other too after over 16 years. So maybe we do kind of know what a healthy relationship looks like. But bottom line, we're real. We struggle to balance it all, just like you. We don't have everything figured out, but we try every day to make a positive impact in this world. So let's tackle it all together. Yeah, I read that off my phone. I wrote it though. I can't keep that all that eloquently in my head. So.
Yeah, teleprompter.
Yes! Wow. That'd be great. I have a new addition to my videography equipment arriving tomorrow, which is very conveniently Mother's Day and a few days after my birthday. It is a drone. I am very excited about this. I have been wanting a drone for some time. I wanted a GoPro and a drone, and I needed to make a choice on just one, and so a few months ago, I purchased a GoPro. Very glad that I invested in one. I love it. It is great for capturing certain portions of things that I like to include in my videos, but I feel like a drone is going to be one more way that I can capture some footage and images that I just otherwise couldn't. So I'm very excited for that to arrive and to get to play around with it. And a teleprompter would be a nice addition to the videography equipment as well. Not sure if that really is a realistic thing when you're just like hobby YouTubers, but it'd be nice. It was a good idea.
Lumped into the YouTuber.
I mean, you are the face of this series, which is on my YouTube channel. So yes, without Brandon, there could be no Brittney and Brandon Show. And this is one of the more popular series on my YouTube channel, The Bee's Business. So yeah, you're lumped into being a YouTuber. Anyway, we have a fun episode planned for you today. We are going to ask each other where we would travel if we could travel anywhere and money was not a factor. Where would we travel and why?
With who?
Oh, interesting addition. And with who? We have not previously discussed this question with one another, so our answers will be a surprise to even each other. I'm going to share a funny parenting moment with you from when Charlie was about 2 years old, so 6-ish years ago. We have a little relationship story for you. We're going to share how we started dating and how it was a bit of a journey to get there. We are also going to share a fun fact because I love facts. I have lots of random facts that I store in my brain, and I also get fun facts delivered to my email every single day, and I find myself very often as I read these fun facts going, no way, or something like that, having some kind of reaction that makes me want to share them with you guys. So we will include a fun fact, and then we have a little relationship tip at the end. No gifts. We don't buy gifts for each other. We'll talk more about that coming up. First up, if money were no factor, time off of work was no factor, we were just able to choose anywhere in the world that we wanted to travel, and with who we wanted to go with, where would we travel,
Okay, so
and why?
hold on.
Oh,
The one thing needs to be like the length of time.
why? Why do we have to
Let's
sell?
say like 3 weeks.
Okay.
A good healthy amount of time, but I mean
Okay, 3
3
weeks.
3 weeks.
Our time length is going to be 3 weeks.
Anywhere in the world with whoever we
So
want.
the factors that we are deciding, the 3 weeks is set for both of us. The factors we are deciding are where and with who. Would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Iceland.
Oh. Why?
Why? Oh, jeez.
How did you miss that? I've said it a zillion times. Where do you want to travel and why?
The history of Iceland is cool. And it's,
Okay.
I feel like it's moderately close to like a Maine climate, which I like. I like Maine. Moderately close. I mean, in the summertime it's nice, but might be a little more cold in the wintertime, but whatever.
Is there any specific location in Iceland that you know of that you would definitely want to see while there?
I've honestly haven't looked into like specific parts of Iceland. Mostly because I know it's a pipe dream, but
Never say never.
I said I know it's a pipe dream, not I'm never going.
I think pipe dream and I'm never going are synonyms. So I still think
Anyway.
never say never is valid.
I have nowhere been near,
Nowhere been near.
I've never been near to the point that we're saying like, in 10 years we should go to Iceland. So I've never looked at like the city of Iceland. I just somewhere in Iceland.
Okay. Who are you gonna go with?
You.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
I'm glad I made the
Kids.
list. I'm glad you want to take our kids and not leave them home without us for 3 weeks.
Well, if money isn't an issue, then we could just rent a car, buy new car seats over there.
Wow, we're getting lavish now. Yeah, we could.
I mean, all the parts about traveling with kids on a plane would just be
Fixed with money.
fixed with money.
So would we bring the dogs then too?
We could probably hire someone to watch the dogs for 3 weeks for if money wasn't an issue.
This is true. A live-in dog sitter. Hank would have all of his needs met instantaneously. He'd have someone waiting on him, paw and paw. We're both looking at him. He's over in the corner.
In a pile,
He's belly up.
melting pile of jowls and
I said this last week. I said he was belly up, not the dead kind, and that's again exactly what's going on now. I'm gonna take a little snippet with my phone here and I will insert it so that you can see because it's worthy. You should see. He's just ridiculous. He's cute, but he's also ridiculous. Let's stick with me and the kids. Sounds good. I had no idea he was going to say Iceland. I thought he was going to say Alaska. He has visited Alaska. I have never been to Alaska. When we first started dating, he went on a family trip to Alaska because his brother and his brother's wife were stationed there. His brother was in the Air Force for a little while. And so he and his sister and his parents traveled out and stayed with his brother. And they did lots of things in Alaska. And we were able to talk to each other, I think once a day on that, when he was on that trip. And he would call around,
4.
was it 4 o'clock my time or your time?
It was my time.
I think it was 4 o'clock my time. Because I have memories of walking around the campground where we were staying. And it was like afternoonish.
Oh, I don't know what the time is. I should know.
So around
Anyway.
4 o'clock, I think my
It was a
time.
4-hour time difference. That's the point.
And I was a heartbroken little teenage girl without him.
That was right after I went to Europe too.
Yeah, we started dating at the end of March 22nd to be specific, of 2007. And over April break, he went to Europe. And then at the beginning of the summer, he went to Alaska. And I didn't do well when he went to Europe over April break. I remember taking lots of
That was
walks.
just like a couple weeks after we started dating, right?
It was, yeah. It was just, that was like a month after. You would have thought we had been dating for a very long time. The amount that I mourned him being gone was intense. I vividly remember taking our dog, Bella, on a walk. She was a yellow lab. Every single day, and most days of April vacation that year, it rained, and that was not very helpful for my mental status in missing him. And I don't know that we really were able to talk at all while you were gone on that trip.
I think I might have called you once.
And of course, so, you know, all the things going through my mind. He'd found some European girl to run off with. It just, lots of things.
That went through your mind?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Brandon, on the morning of our wedding, I was like, maybe he just won't show up today. Maybe he's decided this is a bad idea and he doesn't actually want to marry me. These are valid concerns. I'm sure I'm not the only female that has had these sorts of thoughts.
I'm glad you just went with the female thing, because...
Anyway.
I mean,
So-
I
I thought he was going to say Alaska is where all of that was going.
Well, only because I've been there. And if I would go back there, I've done all the touristy things.
But it's been years, and I
But
have gone.
I
the
would
kids
want to
have
do
never
like
gone.
all the hunting and fishing stuff that you wouldn't be interested in.
I would be interested in the fishing. I like fishing. I don't want to. I was going to say I don't want to kill animals unnecessarily. Sometimes that is the result of fishing. I like the type of fishing where you
It's
just you
not
catch them and you let them
unnecessary.
go. It feels unnecessary. My animal-loving heart just can't get
I
on
love
board with
animals
it.
too, but they taste really good.
But I don't think they taste really good. So think about it from my point of view. I don't think they taste good. So why would I want to kill them?
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not a vegetarian, but I really don't eat much meat. So, I should have tried to guess before you announced. How about you guess? Where do you think I want to go?
My first guess would be Hawaii.
Bingo.
Oh,
You got it. I would absolutely visit Hawaii. I have been to Hawaii. I was 16. I went with my grandmother. It was just she and I. We went for, I think it was close to 3 weeks, and it was an incredible experience. It is a beautiful environment in Hawaii, and there's so much to see and do. And I dream of getting to share that with Brandon and with our kids. So I would choose to take Brandon, I would choose to take our kids, and I would choose to take my grandmother, because I know that she would absolutely love to be back and to make memories in that space again, but to have her great-grandchildren and Brandon there too.
I learned that there are 3 Ford dealerships in Hawaii.
That seems like a lot for
Yep.
a series of islands.
There
Huh,
are 3 Ford dealerships.
interesting.
One of the field service engineers told me that.
Maybe you can find a reason to need to go to one of those dealers.
There's a Hawaii training center.
Oh, talk to Matt and figure out what you can go there for.
I could go there for? You want me to go by myself?
No. We'll talk to Matt about the rest of us need to go for emotional support.
You realize that emotional support doesn't really like travel.
Matt'll make it happen.
I mean, yeah, I'd probably find an excuse somehow.
That'd be lovely. Let's do
I
it.
hope.
So, yes, we have some travel dreams, and those are them. Aside from Hawaii, if I was going to pick someplace that I had never been to, I would pick Australia.
That was my second guess.
Really? I've heard a lot about Australia I do have a couple of close-ish friends. They're not super close friends, but I do interact with them from time to time who live in Australia, and so I'm able to... Apparently this is news to my husband. One of them is a fellow MZ Wallace bag lover, so I met her there. We have talked many times, and the other one is when I used to work with Jamie, one of her best friend now lives in Australia. Yeah. And I have a student right now whose mom is from Australia. Not that I didn't really learn a ton about Australia from her mom, but I did learn a few things at parent-teacher conferences, and I love her accent. Not that I would pick up on the accent with just a visit, or that I think I need the accent myself, but I would like to go to Australia. So, moving on to a funny parenting moment. Charlie was about 2, so circa 2016-ish. And much like I do now, I loved then to go to Hobby Lobby. Charlie was a 2-year-old who was very curious, had a very robust vocabulary. She used some larger words and was able to use them correctly. And I loved to go out shopping with her. She was my little mini-me then, still is now, and shopping with her was a fun adventure. So on this particular day, just Charlie and I were taking a trip to Hobby Lobby. And Charlie also had this infatuation around this time period of her life with clocks. I think now that I'm...
Has to do with your grandmother.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Now that I'm really thinking about this and telling this story, I think it does have to do with my grandmother, actually, because when she was 2, she went to Florida to my grandmother's house for the first time. And my grandmother has a lot of clocks in her home, and she would walk around with Charlie and they would point out the different clocks in her home. So that's actually probably exactly why she had an infatuation with clocks. She loved clocks. Well, we were traveling through Hobby Lobby. We happened down the clock aisle. She was extremely excited about the clocks, and she was commenting on the various sizes of the clocks, and she was using words like gigantic and enormous, and she was using them correctly. And we got to this one very large clock, and she said, "Mama, that is a gigantic cock," because she didn't have a super solid grasp of the L sound when it was in the middle or second letter in a word. So instead of clock, she pronounced the word clock without the L. And we were the only ones in the aisle that we were in, but there were definitely people in the aisles next to us. And so my thought process was, if I was listening in on this conversation, I would be thinking, this child is able to pronounce and use correctly words like gigantic and enormous, but then cannot say clock. And I don't even know if the other people knew that we were in the clock aisle. I think they just heard her screaming about a gigantic cock. So
I'm glad I wasn't there.
I wasn't really feeling like Parent of the Year at that point, and I didn't want to draw attention to the situation for a few reasons. One, because I didn't want her to internalize the situation and feel like she'd done anything wrong, because she hadn't. And 2, because I didn't want to attract any more attention than whatever amount of attention we were already getting. So we hastily moved on from the clock aisle, and I don't think we spent too much longer at Hobby Lobby on that evening. And so that is a story and a time period of life with Charlie that I will never forget, because it was an experience. We'll put it that way. And as Brandon said, he's glad he wasn't there. I wish I wasn't there, but I was. I was there.
Experiences. It's okay.
You're going to have to think some up to share in future Brittney and Brandon Show episodes.
I think of one now.
You can or can't?
Can.
Oh, let's do it.
But we're doing it now.
Yep, do it.
So Eli, first daycare he ever went to
I know the story.
was a home daycare.
We love her. She's amazing.
She's amazing. The best daycare provider Eli ever had.
That's a good way to say it.
Yes. Because we've had another great one. But anyway.
Yes.
Besides the point. So, it was a home daycare. It was all incorporated in their house. So the dogs were always around, stuff like that.
Well, you didn't even mention, they had 2 dogs. They had 2 Boston Terriers. They are the reason that we have Zoe, our Boston Terrier, because Eli was in love with Toko and Tichi, were the Boston Terriers at daycare. And so we then decided we would get a Boston Terrier when Eli was 9 months old. And that is how Zoe joined our family. But back to the paid programming.
So, oh, and a side note, again, back to your grandmother and her house. Her grandfather's urn is on the mantle of her grandmother's fireplace.
Always has been.
Always has been.
Since I was 8 when he passed.
Yeah.
And the kids are used to, like, the urn is not an item to be scared of, or they know that Papa is in that urn and that his ashes are. I take the urn down when I visit, and I will just sit with the urn and I will hold it, and it just brings me some peace and serenity. And anyway, so it's just, it's a normal portion of life for our kids because they are used to seeing me interact with that item and my grandmother talking about it, and so it's just it's a normal thing for them.
So anyway, one of these dogs unfortunately died or was put down or something.
Toko. Yeah, Toko. He was older. He was 13, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was so we get there, like, you walk in right into their house and the whole family's there. They're obviously very sad.
Because this was the first time that Eli was going back since Toko had passed.
Yeah.
They had been up very late the night before. She still chose to open her daycare because she never closed. She had the flu once and was like, no, it's okay, I can take the kids.
Yeah.
We did not make her do that, but she was willing and was ready in her mind.
So we walk in.
I'm not there.
Yeah. I say, I'm so sorry, stuff like that. And then Eli, without skipping a beat, goes, are you going to put him in the ground or are you going to put him in a pot?
Didn't you say box?
No, it was a pot.
Oh, pot. Okay.
And I immediately wanted to shrivel, and I apologized greatly. And I was like, I'm so sorry. He's talking about an urn. Please forgive me. I want to die. Like, anything I could say. And I just pretty much, like, walked out the door and said, I love you, Eli, and left. Like, I was not gonna...
But didn't she say... I don't know if she said it to you at the time or if it was later, but she said it actually...
It lightened the mood of the...
Yeah.
For the family.
Because this is how amazing she is. I mean, you could have taken that in a variety of different ways if it had been you.
But it was just like, you're going to put him in the ground or a pot?
A pot.
And then... he said something along the lines of, did you know if you put him in a pot, you can hear his teeth?
Oh, yes, he did say that.
And I was like, oh.
And that stands for my grandfather's urn as well, because when you move the urn around, there are some clinking sounds, and we believe that is some of the gold fillings that he had in his teeth.
So, yeah, that was definitely a moment I probably... Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, that one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that beats your ginormous clock.
Yeah, I would agree that it does. Mine was funny.
I wanted to shrivel up and just die.
Because this was not a dog to this family. This was one of their family members. Much
Yeah.
like how we feel about our dogs are members of our family. And so it was a very emotional experience. And it was rather drawn out. Toko had some heart issues, and they were really hopeful, and there were ups and then there were downs. And they had recently been on an up, thinking they'd found a medication that was going to work well for him. And pretty quickly they discovered that it just wasn't going to work, and there weren't any other really good options. And so they made the decision to have him put down. But I think because it had been so long and drawn out, there were just such raw emotions around the situation.
Yeah, and like, that was the first time everyone in the house was there when I dropped him off. Oh, because that was when you were on maternity leave.
Oh, with Charlie.
And I was going up to Augusta.
That makes sense.
And I was dropping him off early, so everyone in the house was there, like in the...
And he was the first child there for the day, right?
Yeah, because I was dropping him off at like 6 or something ridiculous.
Just another way that she was so amazing. I worked in Augusta for the first few years of my teaching career, and we do not live super close to Augusta. We're about 45 minutes in great weather away from that area, and I would drive there every day, but I was on maternity leave with Charlie, and so I was staying home with her. So I did drive him up some days, but not every day.
Yeah,
so some days Brandon
because
was...
Augusta pre-K was 4 half days.
Yeah.
And he didn't end up going all 4 days.
Right.
So I'd drive him to Augusta and an
No, that
hour
was
to
with
work.
Colin. He wasn't in pre-K when I had Charlie.
Oh, okay.
But you would drive him up there from our area, so travel 45 minutes to drop him off.
And then an hour to work.
And then an hour to go right back in the direction he'd gone, and then even
further.
past our home to get to the area where he was working at the time.
So I was dropping him off there super early. More earlier than she officially opened, so everyone in the family was there, like in the kitchen, which never happened. Like, usually her husband was gone, the older kids were gone to school, whatever.
She had 2 high school aged kids around this
Yeah,
time.
it was just
an experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal woman, though, and amazing daycare provider. She was so good to Eli and so good to us.
And Charlie. Charlie
And
was there for a
Charlie
little bit.
too. And Colin did his first year there. She was great with all of our kids.
He did?
Yep. He did his first year. I still drove up to Augusta. She was one of the reasons that it was so hard for me to leave that school district and move to the one where I am now, which is significantly closer to home. And I do love the district I'm in now. But leaving her and not being able to have our kids finish out their daycare time with her was hard, and still something that I wish there could have been another way around it. But for the balance and well-being of our family, I needed to stop traveling 45 plus minutes a day with all 3 kids to and then from at the end of the day. It just wasn't conducive to a healthy family life. So it needed to happen, and I don't regret the decision. I just wish that we could have taken her with us somehow. But yeah, she's pretty phenomenal. So that's quite the story. Okay. Moving along to our relationship story, how we started dating. I was 16, Brandon was 17. And okay, let's really throw it back to where we first met. We went to pre-K together, and I have vivid memories of kissing him on the cheek in the sandbox, and I also have a vivid memory of him being dismissed early one day. That was Hank. He's scraping his paw down the side of the guinea pig cage because who knows why. Yeah, and now his face is like mashed into the guinea pig cage. You know what? This is another photo op. Let me get a little photo evidence of this for you.
Pre-K happened. Left.
Wait, no. He's rushing our story. Rushing our love story.
We went to pre-K together.
Wait, but I also have vivid memories of he left early one day and there was a big fence that kept us inside the play area. It was a tall fence. At least it felt very tall to me at the time. I was 4, 5. And I remember climbing it because I just, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to climb the fence, hop over it, and go with him because that's what I wanted to do. And so I started going to this preschool when I was 3. They technically did not take 3-year-olds, but my grandmother, she's showing up a lot tonight. She's a very important person in our lives. She knew someone and somehow got me in even though I was only 3. So I started there early, but during the time that I was there, Brandon was also there. And as we grew up, we didn't see each other at all, or not that we know of. And then we started dating. I'm gonna fast forward to a situation when we were already dating, and then we'll go back to how we started dating. It's all right. You'll see. So when we were dating, we made the realization that we had gone to pre-K together based on memories and knowing that we had both gone to this pre-K, and we used our memories to match time periods and realized that we had gone at the same time. But in all of the paperwork, all the little mementos and things that I had saved from preschool and that his mom / he had saved from preschool, there was never any overlap. So for example, there was a class picture. He was in it, I wasn't, but I knew I was in that room. And then in a school program, or was it? No, the program is how we figured it out. I had a video.
The graduation.
I had a video of our little preschool graduation, and of course I was in it because it was a video of me, but he was not. So we just had these little bits of evidence, but it never added up to proving that we were both there at the same time. Our preschool teacher is one of his mom's best friends, and she had memories of us being there at the same time. So that was one thing that helped us to feel like, yes, this is real. We're not just making this up in our heads. And then multiple years into us dating, one time that we visited his parents, his mom brought out this not a schedule,
pamphlet thing.
Yeah, but it lists all the information about like a little show you're going to, or a program. Program?
Sure.
Hopefully you know what we're talking about. She brought this out, and our names were both listed, and we were in the same class. And so that proved it. Finally. We were pretty sure before that, but it was just that last little piece of concrete evidence that we needed to verify for sure that we were at that preschool together at the same time, and that we weren't just making up the memories in the sandbox and all that jazz. So that was into our dating scene.
Yeah,
now.
I don't remember the sandbox. Sorry.
He doesn't remember me kissing him in the sandbox. That's what he said if you couldn't hear him. Stabbed me in the heart with a dagger. Oh my gosh, we can't be married anymore.
Well, there must have been a better kisser in the sandbox. I don't know.
A better kisser in the sandbox?
No, actually, I don't remember any kisses in the sandbox, so. Sorry.
We're gonna move past this. This is too much.
I hope we do. I hope we move past
Well,
it.
we'll see. So anyway, back to how we met and started dating. Well, not how we met, but how we started dating. So, all that happened at preschool, didn't see each other for years and years. My family moved from an area where we had lived when I was young to another area. I changed schools. It was about a 30-minute difference in the two locations where I had lived, so it caused lots of changes. I had previously been taking dance lessons at one dance studio. It was no longer easy to drive there, so I switched to a different dance studio. And this guy happened to be dancing at that dance studio as well. He was dancing there. I think we maybe have talked about this in a previous Brittney Brandon episode, because his sister danced there and he thought this might be a good idea. but also because he had a Nissen fundoplication. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Gold star. Surgery, which involved his stomach and the creation of a sphincter muscle, which he didn't have, but does now.
In my stomach.
Yes.
Not the southern sphincter.
Yeah, he's always had that one, luckily.
Yeah.
Like here-ish, sphincter muscle like there.
Yeah.
So, because he had that surgery, he was not able to play a contact sport. So he'd previously done football and could no longer play football. So he chose to dance, and we re-met at dance class. Did we realize? I don't think we realized at dance that we knew each other from pre-K. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was remembering that right. So in my mind, he was a brand
Pretty
new.
sure that was after we were dating and stuff.
I think so. He was a brand new person in my life, in my head at that time. And I was instantly attracted to him. But also in my 16-year-old girl, I think 15 when I first started there, mind, he was untouchable, is how I felt. I felt that I would never be able to have a relationship with him, and so I just sort of gave up on that and admired him from afar, but did nothing to let on to the fact that I found him quite attractive. And I had to painfully watch him date multiple other girls that I danced with.
It was 2.
That's multiple.
One was a cousin of one of the dancers.
3.
3? Who was the...
Brittney?
No, that never happened.
Oh, you didn't date her?
No, it was her cousin.
Steph was her cousin?
No, Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Don't know her.
She didn't dance with us.
No.
I'm confused. Okay, Steph, Crystal, and Chelsea, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's multiple, pal.
Yeah, but the Chelsea wasn't someone we danced with. It was a cousin of someone we danced with. That doesn't count.
Yeah, I still think it counts. But anyway, regardless, 2 people that we danced with, and that is multiple.
15? Like, what's dating when you're 14 and 15?
It was serious to me.
Anyway.
It was serious to me. So, my heart just had to find
Well, you
other
thought
avenues.
I was in love with someone else because I talked to
I
her.
did. One of my really good friends, I was like, he likes her. And he talked to her all the time, so I'm like, he's definitely into her. So I need to just not mess with this because I don't want to mess things up for my friend that he seems to be into. So I went on and I had another relationship. And I'm glad that I had that relationship because there were a lot of things to be learned from that experience, but it really wasn't a great fit. So time moves on, and I still just admire him from afar. And then I go on a cruise with my family when I'm 16, with my whole extended family. Somebody passed away, and with the money that they left behind, they said, take the family on a vacation, and we went on a vacation. So it was myself, my immediate family, my cousins, grandparents, just a lot of people. And it was a great vacation, and I met another individual, another boy named Mike that I really liked on this cruise. And I just started to have this perspective of the person back home that I was dating that I knew wasn't the best fit was not the only fish in the sea, as the saying goes.
I mean, you were on a cruise.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So, I remember having conversations with my cousins, like, do I continue to date this person? Do I pursue a relationship with Mike? Because Mike was like, we can have a long distance relationship. I'll come visit you this summer. I'll talk to my mom about it. You know, we were dreaming and scheming and young and that was that. And I was having a lot of fun and there was so much freedom. We were on a cruise ship, so my parents gave me like a ridiculously late curfew. I had never had that much freedom in my life. I could stroll up to any window I wanted at any time and be like, I'd like French fries, please. And they would hand me French fries and I didn't have to pay for anything. I could go swimming when I wanted to. I just was like living large. Really great memories from this trip. And so I decided that I was going to break up with the boy back home. And when I got home, I had gotten my license recently, and I remember I drove to his house and I broke up with him. And that was that. And then, I don't know, something changed, and I had a little more confidence in myself. And when we returned to dance classes, this was after a vacation, I think April vacation. And when we returned to dance classes, he said something to me like, "How was your break?" And
I think that's all it was.
For whatever reason, I was like, "Well, I broke up with my boyfriend."
I was like, "Ooh." I didn't actually make that noise though.
In his head he did.
Yeah.
And that was where things started. And so he started to pay a little more attention to me, and I started to be like, oh my, I think he's paying attention to me. I think he might actually like me. So there was lots of butterflies, there was lots of talking to other people, and at one point I was talking to friends back home. Do I date Mike, who's long distance, or do I date Brandon, who's right here in the state? And I was like, I don't know what to do. And it took me not very long to be like, this is dumb. Brandon, you have liked this person for so long. He is here in your state. You know him significantly better than this boy that you have known for a week and a half, who is a very nice guy. We're still Facebook friends, and he's married with a child, and, you know, he's very nice. So I wouldn't have been the most horrible thing, but I went down the Brandon path, and of course,
Instead of down the
I
beaten
did.
path, it was down the Brandon path.
I have so many puns tonight, and I'm not even trying to do it. I am funny. Okay, we're back. I got an overheating message, which I have never gotten on my camera, but we were apparently making the room toasty with our love story.
Yeah. So toasty.
Anyway, so somewhere in all of the talking and there was a lot of AIM, AOL Instant Messenger conversations going back and forth, for those of you that know what AIM is. And that is where we did a plethora of our talking and communicating, and we decided to go skiing together. I was a pretty regular skier. Brandon had never been skiing. I don't know that I knew that at the time.
Yeah,
I don't think he told, we weren't officially dating yet, and I don't think he told me that he'd never gone skiing. But he did darn good for a first-time skier. I wouldn't have known if he hadn't later told me. But we did a couple of runs down the mountain, and on one particular ride back up, we got separated on the chairlift. I went, and he just didn't make it, and so he ended up on the chair behind me. You want to step in? You love to tell this part.
She wouldn't stop talking.
I was really nervous, and he was behind me, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Stop talking.
In my head, I'm like, what if he thinks that this is going terribly? What if...
What? Like a whole chairlift away.
I was just nervous that if I didn't...
A whole chairlift, like...
If I didn't keep the conversation going, I was like, oh, he's gonna have time to think about the fact that he's like, no, I don't like this, I don't like her, we shouldn't have done this, I'm never doing this again. And my teenage girl mind was freaking out that this was gonna be the end of everything. And he really wanted me to stop talking because...
I wanted to ask her out, but couldn't.
He wanted to ask me to officially be his girlfriend, but I didn't stop talking, so we didn't have a chance to ask.
Yeah.
When did you finally ask?
I don't know.
Was it even that day?
I don't know.
Wow, we plan to tell this story and we don't even have the details straight. I don't think you ended up officially asking me to be your girlfriend that day. Or maybe you did later, like at the end of the trip? Did you ask me? I think you asked me on AIM.
Oh, maybe I did.
I'm pretty sure you did. I think later that night you asked me on AIM.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because if you had not asked me that day and it had gone into the next day, I would have lost my mind thinking that everything was ruined. So I'm pretty confident that that night on AIM, you asked me. Also, quick funny story on AIM. There's no context. It's like texting nowadays. There's no context of how someone's really feeling in a situation. And so he had said something, and I responded in one little blurb, goober. I was calling him a goober. And then in the next blurb, I said, which is the African word for peanut? And I did not put a question mark at the end. And then he didn't respond forever. And I panicked because I'd called him a goober, and I was like, maybe that was really offensive to him. My mom called us a goober all the time. So to me, it was just silly and cute. Why are you here, sir? Who said you were going to be part of the Brittney Brandon Show tonight? You did, didn't you? You said you were going to be part of the show. Hank's here. Oh my, Hank. You were so cute. It's ridiculous. Why are you so
I was
cute?
waiting for the multiple choice question. The multiple choices to answer the question. Like, which of the following is the word for an African word for peanut?
And I just meant goober, comma, which is the African word for peanut, period. So there was some miscommunication there, and we bring this up so many times. Countless times we have brought this up in our relationship since it occurred on that evening, because I was panicking that he was upset with me, and then he finally responded, and there was, of course, no problem or issue.
Confusion.
But there was a lot of confusion, and because we had to just type everything, it took a little longer than it would have if we were talking to sort it all out. So that's how we started dating. And so we started dating March 22nd of 2007, and then we got engaged on May 18th of 2008, and that's a whole other story that we'll share at a different time, but we were both newly 18 years old when we got engaged. We were quite young. And dance is involved in that one too. But like I said, for another night, we are on to
Should just
a
go
fun
to
fact. Oh, Hank. Hank is
moving the camera and the light.
Oh my gosh, Hank, he's adjusting all of our equipment. He's underneath the table.
Sniffing stuff.
And he's...
Just slide over a little bit. It'll be fine.
Okay, we're just... Instead of fixing the camera, we're just going to slide over.
Just do a relationship tip.
Brandon wants to skip a fun fact. That's so sad.
Well,
can I just...
the camera's just going to overheat again.
I'm just going to share a really fast fun fact because I have so many amazing fun facts. I have a whole folder in my email just labeled facts because I found so many that are really amazing.
Hank, stop
that
sniffing.
I just want to share.
He's so sniffy.
This one is cool. Around 12% of people dream in black and white. So whether they're showing up to school in their underwear or having their teeth fall out, most dreams have one thing in common: they're in color. But not for everyone. Roughly 12% of people dream entirely in black and white, making their nightly visions much like watching an old movie. That comparison isn't a coincidence either. The number used to be much higher. In the 1940s, 75% of Americans reported seeing color in their dreams, only rarely or never. And some researchers believe that black and white television is part of the reason. Color TV didn't become common until the 1950s and 60s. So for many years, most people's most common experiences with visual stories were in grayscale. A 2008 study found that people 25 and younger almost never dreamed in black and white, while those 55 and older who didn't have color TV in their younger years had black and white dreams about a quarter of the time. Yet the television connection is difficult to prove for certain, as are many things related to dreaming. I do not feel like I have ever had a dream that was in black and white.
I'm trying to think of them now, and I don't think I do, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have.
I'm trying to recall a dream I've had recently.
Have you ever had a dream in black and white?
That's what I'm trying to...
No, I'm asking them.
Oh. Okay.
If you have, please tell us in the comments. I would love to hear from you.
Right.
Okay. That was a nice fun fact. A nice quick fun fact. Now we're on to relationship tip, no gifts. So gift giving. There's a lot of pressure around it from my experience and in my opinion. And while I don't think this tip is going to work for every single relationship, it works very well for ours. We really don't give each other traditional gifts.
I've had to ease her into that. You were a gift wanter for a while.
When we were younger and we did not have children, we were a little more consistent with gift giving. Now that we have children and life is very full and very busy, we give each other gifts in the form of time to pursue our passions and our hobbies, or an experience that we can both go and do together. So it's kind of like a date day or a date out together, and it's not usually a tangible item. Oh my god, we've got a little longer.
Okay.
So this works well for us because honestly, I'm the type of person that if I really want something, if I need something, I'm going to buy it because I need it. And if I really want something, I'm going to make a plan of how and when I can purchase that something, and I'm going to purchase it because we both work and work hard for our money, and I feel like if we have needs, they should be met, and if we have wants, we should work on meeting those as often as we can as well. So essentially, if we really want something, we're going to buy it. We're not going to wait until a birthday or an event as an excuse to give an item to one another. And it works for us because we are able to show our appreciation and love for one another in other ways, in more creative ways that, as I mentioned, are not tangible items. They're more experiences, or being extra sensitive to each other's needs, or just giving space and time that we can't always plan into our schedule on a regular basis. So that's my advice. If you are in a relationship and you feel confident in each other's affections for one another, if there's a lot of pressure around gift giving, birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries, all of that, then consider removing that pressure by not doing it. And instead, either try one of the things that we've suggested, plan a trip together, put a couple of places that you've been wanting to travel to into a jar and pull one out and then make the plans together, or something of that nature. I really love getting to make memories at this point in my life with Brandon versus being excited for my birthday or a holiday to come around so that I can receive a gift from him. So that
has a lot to do with the fact that we've always had a shared bank account too.
Yes.
It's just
that is another thing about our relationship.
Not the sharing a bank account, you just get something you want with that money, and rather than me trying to guess at what you want.
Well, I mean, I think you do know me well enough that you could successfully purchase things for me that I would enjoy or appreciate, but I can also just get these
really
things for myself.
Involved in things, and then you want specific things of.
This is true.
Things, which
Hank. He just turned on the Roomba. Oh, Hankus. This is true.
So at that point, I would need to research and take inventory of stuff you have, and
that would be rather complicated.
Yeah.
Yes, but because we have been together since we were so young, we started off with neither of us had anything, so it just made sense for us to build it all together. So we have always had only a joint bank account, multiple accounts, but we're both on all of our accounts. We don't have any separate ones. And again, I know that doesn't work for all relationships, but because of where we started, it works for ours, and it also ties into our gift giving because it does mean that, okay, we're back again. Things overheated one more time. Hank is, oh, Hank, hi, Hank. Hank is here again. He loves the way ears smell, so he's just giving my ear a little love right now. Hank, that really tickles. Oh my gosh, this dog. Hank, you're such a creep. All right, so as we were saying, this bit of advice won't necessarily work for every relationship or be desirable or comfortable for every relationship, but it may work for you and your relationship. And so that is the advice that we have to share. I don't think I totally finished my last thought before the camera cut out, but at this point, I'm gonna wrap things up because we've been filming for a while and because I don't want my camera to overheat again. I'm not really sure why it's doing this, so we're gonna have to look into that. But if you have made it this far in this episode, thank you so much for watching and for joining us, spending some time here on the Brittney and Brandon Show and the Bee's Business. If you know of anyone else who would love to enjoy our episode, and the battery died. So I am back yet again, and it is just me to close things out at this point. Hank needed to go out, and I think the universe is telling us at this time that it is time to end this episode of the Brittney and Brandon Show. So we're gonna go, but please share this with others that you think may enjoy it, and thank you so much for joining us. We love having you here in our little community. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!